Alright, I'm gonna try my damnedest to keep this quick, but I doubt it's gonna be. Uh, I've had a few people recently ask me about starting a business, uh, and I've seen a few people talking about it over the internet. Uh, I can only tell you my experience. My experience is of a handyman, contractor, home remodeler, that kind of, mostly home remodeler. Technically, I call myself a handyman, and that's for legal reasons, which I don't really fucking care to get into. Uh, but for advice as far as starting a business, so mine, the one I did, it just came out of necessity. It wasn't a choice that I made. I got sick. I was in a relationship and I got sick of being broke. And I couldn't find work in town, so I just was like, I guess I just do this for myself now. And miraculously, um, I just was busy from the get go. And what I found was I didn't even have to be very good. I'm sure there's a million people out there better than me. The only thing, and people would always, for some reason, be very. I still have several relationships and clients that I met at first. All I really did was just not be a piece of shit. I learned the hard way, through experience on what not to do, and I just didn't do those things. Now, granted, you can't please everybody. There are probably some people out there. There are some people out there that are probably very mad at me because of the way jobs went. But in comparison to the people that, it's just not. It's not comparable at all to the people that still call me to this day to come fix their shit. But anyway, things to look out for when you're in this position. Uh, I tried to write these down. Uh, it's definitely not an answer. It's not a quick fix in any way. Starting a business, it's not a quick fix. I've been doing it for 7 years, and I still haven't. I'm not in anywhere near where I thought I would be. Uh, Hiring people. Before I started a business, I was in the camp of no one wants to work for you firmly. Now, 7 years later, not so much. I've had my main goal when I first started was to give people jobs. That was my main goal. I have a philosophy that I try. Granted, it's a virtue. It's like a dartboard. I have a philosophy. I aim for the bullseye, and I hope to get close. I rarely do, so it's like that. But the philosophy is when I approach life with an attitude of what do I have to give rather than what can I take, what can I get, things just work out better. So I tried to approach this with that in mind. What can I give? Well, I can try to give people jobs. Um, no, they don't want to. They don't want to work. They want to have money, and I get it. That's the only reason I go to work. It's for money. That's it. Starting a small business, it's not. It doesn't work like that. The more money I pay someone else, is the less money I make. It's a weird dynamic. It's hard to follow. It's a hard line, a balance to make. It really is, because you want to treat people well, who do well, and you want to keep them satisfied. But on the other hand, after a while, inevitably they start feeling like they deserve a raise because they're doing better. But what you as a business owner is cool. Now I'm finally getting a return on my investment. The bugs are working out. You are doing better. Now you can start finally making me money rather than costing me money. Because at first you're overhead, you're a bill, and now that you're doing good, now I start making money, and then inevitably they go somewhere else. So you're pretty much just paying someone to learn from you, and then go take it to somebody else. It's hard, it's difficult, and I understand that. You also have to not take things personally. That is very hard at first. Sometimes I don't get every job I go to. I get like 10% of them, uh, and that's fine. You don't want me for whatever reason. That is not. It's fine. It's just never gonna bother me. Same with employees. You don't want to work for me? Cool. I'll still be cool with you. It doesn't matter. What you have to watch out for from clients is the favor. So what this is some, and I've had people say this to me, and he looked at me. He says, your price was a little high, but I felt like doing you a favor, and it was weird because he called me back the second time. The first time he called me, I said no, I didn't want to do the job. I didn't like. There were certain things about the business side of it that I was not comfortable with, and I was like, hey, I don't think we could be able to do this together. He called me months later and was like, hey, I'll sign whatever you need me to sign. I just need this deck built, and I'll build a deck with my eyes closed, no problem. So I was like, sure, whatever, man, fine. I gave him the price, and then all of a sudden he was doing me the favor. And what I said to him after he said this to me was, I will not forget that you said that to me. And he looked at me in the eye and said, you're welcome. And it was weird. And what this is it is them trying to make you feel indebted to them for essentially what is business as usual. That's what that is. You didn't do me a favor. You just business as usual is what this is. You need something done. This is what I will charge you to do it. Even Steven. And there's no favor here. That's it. It's the end of that. Someone, when they say they have their own materials, this is, and pretty much what they're saying here is one of two things. They don't want you to mark up material. They think you're going to charge them for super expensive stuff, buy super cheap stuff, or they think they have what you need. Rarely do they have what you need to do what they're asking. So this is difficult to you got to inspect this stuff, and granted, your only job as far as pricing is to get them the lowest price possible that you can. That's what your job is, to take a look at what they have, make that as affordable to them as possible, and you can still make a profit. Not expenses. There's a difference between getting paid expenses, your time there, and then making a profit. This is where people also get confused. They think that if your profit is somehow a scam or a trick, and it's not. The only reason you're not charging them for your time being there. You are, but then there's the profit. Don't forget that. Make sure that their materials that they have, if they want to do this, are good. If not, it's going to be more labor is what it is. And you've already set a price on this, and they're not trying to hear this. They are not. There is give and take here. You definitely don't want somebody nitpicking you when you're done. So it's a hard balance to walk. It's a hard line to walk there. But keep it in mind. There's a phenomenon that takes place, and I made a video about this before. Again, I pretty much just described it with the last guy that felt like he did me a favor. Before you do the job, they somehow are very, easy, it's only going to be, and then once you agree to do it, then it's, well, you better, I'm doing you a favor. It's this weird shift that takes place. And that is none of your business. It's just not. That's their business. It doesn't concern you. You do not need to modify anything. It's just the way it is. They'll try to get you and convince you that it's in your best interest, that they're doing you a favor or something, and it's just not. Stick to what you know. For me, there's certain things that come up, certain jobs and what they consist of, on whether I charge by the job. Most of the time I charge by the job. Most of the time I charge for everything, so that way I'm in charge of what materials I get. I'm in charge of where I get them. If it's somewhere that I'm not comfortable with, that I'm not used to, mistakes will happen, and it does come out of my pocket. So you got to be careful, whether you charge by the job, whether you charge by the day, or by the hour. I do all three. Rarely do I do by the day or by the hour. And the reason is I should not get paid for how fast I do a job. That's just, I get better at it. I'm me. I don't have a boss. You're not my boss. You need this done. If I do it fast, it's still done. Don't let people talk you out of this. Just because they get overwhelmed by the amount of work that is there, that's your job to bid that. That's your skill that you've learned. You've spent a long time learning how to quote these things. Just because they're like, all right, it's a whole lot of weird little stuff, cool. That's why you're there. That's why they called you. You're not a houseboy. You're not there to go pick up their mail because you're working by the hour. You're not there to do busy work. Sometimes you will encounter somebody who knows what they're doing. There's a million ways to do things. Often, they don't know what they're doing. I would run into this problem with doors. So anybody who works in the construction field, when you say, hey, I got to replace this door, in their head, they automatically know that it's a pre-hung door. You're going to have to take the trim off and the door jamb. It's a pre-hung door. Most people, when they're like, oh, I know what I'm doing, and they say they want you to replace the door, and they look at that price, they're like, what the fuck? I just need you to replace that. They don't know that replacing just the door, you're going to have to mortise out all the stuff for the hardware. And just hope that the new door you get, the holes line up for the doorknob. That's not how it works. And I have had this bite me in the beginning, bite me in the ass several times, and again, it comes out of your pocket. So you have to be careful with stuff like that. You'll talk to people who are like, oh, I know how to do this. I have all the materials, and then you're like, it's not nothing weird, right? And they're like, no. And then you get there, and it's epoxy grout, which, granted, is normal stuff, but it's not the standard. It's not what you mostly are going to be using. It's just not. I've had this happen, and now you're just stuck learning how to do epoxy grout when you had no idea that was even coming. People will always say, don't mix business with family. It's weird working for friends. In my experience, this has not been true. I work for friends and family a lot. There have been times where it got weird. Usually, because this is all very simple stuff. You need something done, I can do it. This is what it'll cost. People will then make it weird by trying to make sure it doesn't get weird. And it's not okay. And they will interject themselves. I had a job one time where I was doing for a friend, and I didn't know that now all of a sudden I was working for their father, who didn't live there, and he was inspecting all my. It was weird. It was odd, and granted, there's more than one way to do things. My job is to do what they asked, as affordable as possible. So I give them the price, and next thing you know, they're like, "Where's all this other unnecessary stuff to make it better?" And it's like, well, it's not in there. That's going to be significantly more money. It's a thing, but it's not. You don't need it if you want this to be as affordable as possible. And before the job, after the job, the phenomenon took place, and now here I am out of pocket. You have to be careful for working with friends and family because they can get weird because you're working with friends and family. But 9 times out of 10, I've done so many jobs for personal friends, and I go back. They call me back. I've done several jobs for family, and they call me back. It never gets weird. You have to be careful how people word things before you go in to do the job. It's just part of the phenomenon. But also, they want it to, obviously, they want the price to be as low as possible. So they will start saying things like, I need you to help me do this. Most of the time, in my experience, when somebody says they need my help doing this, what they mean is they want me to do it for them, which is what I do. If you want me to help you do something, that's a different price. That's a different task. I don't even care. Normally, I will just help people. And then I show up to help them, and they're not there. And I was like, oh, you want me to do it for you? And a side note, when it comes to help, I do have a rule. Sometimes people, they just need some help, something little. And the rule, the boundary that I, for myself, is I don't mind helping people until there's money involved. If someone needs help with their house for comfort, and this is also a close friend family thing, uh, and they're not making any money off of it, then I'll just do it, probably, depending on what it is. But if somebody's making money, then you charge them. That's end of that discussion. What else? I don't know how many times. So what is going to happen when you start a business is you'll start noticing that everyone that you encounter is trying to take something from you. They're trying to take it. They're trying to it just, and it sucks. You can start getting cynical. They are trying. They think, and then they're prepared for you to do the same. So you're especially as a contractor, because you have the pretty normal uh, stereotype of what a contractor is. You know, if you start going into, if you're going to do a job for like a woman, she's going to be ready for you to try to take advantage of her for being a woman. You have to be ready for that, even though you're not, or you don't think you are. You have to be ready for that. You're going to be met with that. You're going to be met with an already preconceived notion of who you are, just because you're, same with the mechanic, same with the lawyer. That one is accurate. But you know, some people suck, and you are some people to this person. So you have to be ready for that. And in the same light, that goes both ways. A lot of people are going to be trying to get stuff out of you. I've had people try to convince me that doing more and making less was in my best interest for them. They have long conversations about it, and I'm like, this is not the what. It doesn't make it, and they will think they're right, and it's like, in what world do you think that I have learned this skill the hard way? I didn't go to school. I worked for sociopathic maniacs and learned how to do this so that I could now just make less money over a longer period of time for you. And they will try. I've had people. There's a little popularity contest in town for the best in Hayes County thing, and I've had people in the same category as me call me and tell me to ask other people to not vote for me. I ain't even asking people to vote for me, by the way. But you want me to call them and ask them to not vote for me so that you could win this category and then I could win the other one instead of me? And I'm like, no, what? This just that happens. And they think that this is the thing that you're gonna do for them. There is also the people want to pay for ground beef and then they expect prime rib. You get what you pay for. You do. Um, that sucks, and a lot of times, the difference in price there is going to come out of your pocket. It just is. You want to do a good job. You want them to call you back later. Never price a job with another one in mind that is not written down. Someone will say, "Hey, I need you to do the flooring here." And keep in mind, there's other work for you if this goes well down. Don't keep that in mind. Nod, smile, say, cool, thank you. Do not start any job without a deposit. Give free estimates. Don't start a job without a deposit. Don't let it take any space up in your already full brain, because they will cancel. You will hire other people to be there. Those people will pass on other jobs because they've made a commitment to you, and you get there and there's not been a deposit, and now that person's grandma died. Sad, sucks, but that comes out of your pocket. You have to pay those guys for passing up other jobs. to be there for you. And the same goes for you. Don't let somebody do that to you. Not only are you signing a contract to do this job for someone, but you're signing a contract to not take other jobs from other people while you're there to do that job. So be picky with the jobs you take and when you take them. If you need the work, give a discount. I understand that. And I understand that a lot of times it's hard to pass up a certain job. But if it doesn't feel right, there's a reason. One of the things that I try to listen for a lot is how many contractors have already looked at this job. There's a reason they didn't take it, and I guarantee you it wasn't because they don't want to work. You take somebody that's invested thousands of dollars in their tools, and they get to do a job that they do, and they don't take it. There's a reason. There's a reason that they didn't take it. Keep this in mind. Don't let that happen to you as well, because when you do commit to a job, stay on that job. A lot of contractors will take 5 jobs at once, and then their client is like, where the hell did this person go? Don't do that. And charge accordingly for not doing that. The reason contractors do that is because they underbid the jobs, so they get the job, and then they don't make enough money to stay on that job. So charge accordingly. Don't underbid yourself into being broke. I would much rather be broke and not busy than broke and busy. You're not going to get rich. You're barely going to scrape by for a long time. Take the jobs you want. Leave the rest. That's as much advice as I could give off the top of my head. I wrote a couple of things down, but go fuck yourself. And do your best to do what you say you're going to do. That goes both ways. I've had several people say, oh, you said you were going to do this. I said, yeah, I said I was going to do this because you said you were going to do this, and you didn't do this, so now we're not doing this. So do what you say. If you mess up, make it right. No one is trying to hear you're sorry. Do something to make it right. I've had jobs where I got sick. I had staph infection, and I got severely behind on a job. So I did other tasks for this person for free. It's just how that works. They're not trying to hear, oh, I was sick. They're trying to hear, oh, this is how I will make it right. And you do what you can with that. But yeah, that's about all the advice I could give.